Welcome back to the channel. This is Kristian Hval with the Modern Tao. I've been a regular meditator for just over 12 years now, and in that time I have learned a tremendous amount about life, about myself, about what it means to be content, because isn't that what we're all searching for? How to be content through the ups and downs of life, through the challenges and joys of life. And today I'd like to share with you some of the greatest realizations that have come to me as a result of meditating for just over 12 years regularly. The first realization that I've had is that meditation itself is not going to fix your problems. Whether your problems are financial, physical, emotional, relationship-based, you may need to seek therapy. You may need to go do some plant medicine. You may need some help from a coach or a teacher. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing here, so that I can hopefully help teach and guide people towards a greater sense of contentment. Meditation itself isn't going to solve these problems, and in fact, if you try meditating and you're too traumatized, it's absolutely going to bring up the feelings that are associated with those traumas, those feelings and energies that are stuck in your body as a result of the trauma. And it may, in fact, be difficult, if not impossible, for you to be meditative, to achieve a meditative state. So seeking some sort of outside help is good and necessary in many cases. And while meditation itself might not solve these problems, it absolutely is going to help the other work that you're doing land inside of you and stick. Because really, meditation is all about being with what's present right in front of us and with what's present inside of us. And if we're gunked up with trauma, if we're gunked up with pain, it's going to be very difficult to be with that pain, especially at the start. And as you begin to heal, as you begin to peel back the layers of whatever it is that has harmed you and hurt you, you'll realize that actually whatever happened to you is a gift. It was an opportunity. It is an opportunity to learn more about yourself, an opportunity to grow into who you're meant to be. I firmly believe all the things that happen to us happen for us, no matter how gruesome or horrible they are. You can turn it into medicine. You can turn it into a golden treasure that yields endless fruits. Because once you've healed, once you've overcome your own challenges, you can in turn, and actually a natural response to healing those things is to want to help others heal them too. So by making it through your challenges, making it through your pain, making it through your trauma, and coming out on the other side, you are well equipped, and you've been given some juicy nuggets of truth that someone who's going through the same thing may not have yet. And that's a beautiful opportunity for you to share that with them. Another thing that I've learned is that if you want to incorporate meditation into your life, you've got to have a really good reason for doing it. And I don't mean I want to learn how to levitate or read minds or find things that are lost. All of these abilities are possible as a result of meditation, but they should not be the end goal, because it's not enough to sustain the practice. Those types of things may happen spontaneously. People may have a natural tendency to be able to do those things, and when they start meditating, it may awaken those things. But for most of us, they could be a distraction and can also be a welcome side effect later on in the path. What I'm talking about is you have to have some motivation that keeps you practicing, that keeps you engaged with being meditative. And for most of us, that's going to come from curiosity. What are you curious about? And not just a little curious. What are you so curious about that you're willing to pursue it for the rest of your life? I'll give you an example. For me, I used to be a drug addict. I used to be an alcoholic. And I was attached to many outside numbing agents to help me be okay with being alive. And I had to go through a decade-long trial of suffering, of seeking, of almost dying, and many other things that finally brought me to a breaking point, which was also catalyzed by some mystical experiences that resulted in an obsessive curiosity to just know what the hell any of this is, what my life is, what this universe is there even a God? I was set on a journey of seeking. And in that journey of seeking, yoga, breathwork, meditation, plant medicines, martial arts, all of these things became much more interesting to me because I knew that people who engaged in these things had achieved a state of contentedness and a state of peace about all of this, about your life, and about those big questions, the mystery of it all. And so it sent me on this path to figure out what this is. And meditation was a huge part of that. It was like the daily glue that stuck all of my realizations and growth together, linked it all together day by day by day. That's not to say I didn't have days where I didn't meditate. As somebody who was an addict, I started to become addicted to meditation. And so part of my path was to stop meditating and to refrain from that attachment. And there were days when I wouldn't meditate, where the thoughts in my mind would be like, oh, if you don't meditate, you're not going to be centered. If you don't meditate, you're not going to be kind, or you're not going to be able to handle all of your life. And so that was another lesson that I learned on the meditative path, is to not be attached to the practice. Well, at the beginning, just like any new habit, it requires a certain level of commitment and dedication. I think on average it takes about 60 days to make a new behavior not something that you have to make yourself do, or to make a new behavior stick in your life, to make it a non-negotiable part of your life, that once you stop doing it, it feels unusual for you to stop doing it. Another realization I've had as a result of being a long-time meditator is that there are no absolutes. The only absolute is the universal energy that contains all things. That's the only thing, the only true absolute. And in order for any of this to be possible, our lives, our physicality, our emotions, all of the things that we experience, time and space, that absolute had to divide into two. It had to become dark and light. It had to become a duality. If you pay attention to your life, you'll realize that everything is a spectrum. Nothing is 100% one or the other. There's always a tiny bit of the other in whatever it is that you're experiencing. True peace and contentedness is found in the realization that we live in a dualistic universe. We live in a dualistic life. If you can be okay with bad things happening because you know that there's more good on the other side, that's contentedness. It doesn't make it any less difficult or less challenging, but it does make it easier to handle, because you know that it's temporary. You know that the pendulum can swing back to the side of joy, ecstatic enjoyment, and on the other side, you can rest in the positivity and be okay with that, enjoy that, while knowing that that too will pass. And so it's this dance. Every aspect of your life is this dance between one side of the spectrum and the other, and it just keeps going back and forth to greater and lesser degrees. By being a meditator, by being meditative and living meditatively, you find a centered contentedness through both sides of the spectrum that allows you to feel truly free. Another word for contentedness is happiness. I can be going through a hard time. I can be experiencing grief or loss, and I can still be happy. I can be crying. I can be really sad, but there's still a glimmer of happiness in there. On the other side, have you ever loved somebody so much that it hurts? That's called compassion. Your heart is so overflowing with love that no matter what you say or do, it's not going to actually live up to what it is that you're feeling. It's like it needs to be expressed so deeply, but no matter what you do, it won't be expressed to its fullness. So this compassion, this contentedness, this peace are natural results of meditation. And in order to welcome these things into your life, meditation needs to be a regular part of your life, part of your healing journey.